You're listening to the Small Business Talk podcast with Cathy Smith. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you.
Small Business Talk is a podcast for business owners and entrepreneurs who want a better way to run their businesses without spending years doing it the hard way. Small Business Talk is hosted by Cathy Smith, who has run the same marketing agency for more than 17 years and helped hundreds of business owners achieve their marketing goals.
Welcome to episode 48 of the Small Business Talk podcast. I'd like to wish you all a very safe, happy and stress-free holiday season. Wow, what a year 2019 has been. Some of you have made great strides in your business, and 2019 has been a wonderful, successful year for you. For some, it has been a harder year. At this time of the year, it's really good to take some time and reflect on what has worked in your business. Think about it and think about what you can amplify. Look at what didn't work and see why it didn't work. Do you need to stop doing some things? Do you need to start doing some things? Did you actually take action? Did you make a plan, break it down into smaller parts, and actually do something towards your goals each day, each week, then monthly and quarterly? Or did it just become one of those New Year's resolutions, done and then forgotten? Only you know the answer to these questions. Confucius says, aim at nothing and you will always hit it. Aim for the moon, and if you fall short, you'll still be amongst the stars. What will you aim for in 2020? Will you aim at all? Start planning your business goals today. At this time of year, setting and planning is very important so that you can start your new year, your business year, on the best foot. In December 2018, I started doing Ray Minadoni's 6 Ps of Podcasting course. And 8 weeks later, the Small Business Talk podcast was launched. The first thing I did was set the goal to do the podcast. Then I made the plan, broke it down into 6 steps with the help of Ray's course, actioned those steps, and then launched the Small Business Talk podcast. And today, here it is, our 48th episode. So what are your goals in 2020? Do you find goal setting a bit daunting and not really sure where to start? In episode 7 of the Small Business Talk, Charlotte Brown took us through how to make 2019 the most successful year yet. So today, I've decided to replay this episode for you so that you can get a jump start in planning for 2020. I hope you enjoy it. And remember, to be great, you must take action. So take a listen, and then I will see you all in 2020. Today, we're going to be talking to our special guest, Charlotte Brown. And our topic today is how to make 2019 the most successful yet for your business. Charlotte is an advanced skills lecturer in business and management at the Southwest Regional TAFE. Welcome, Charlotte.
Hi, Cathy. Thank you so much for inviting me today. Thank you.
You're welcome. Would you like to tell us a little bit about your business journey so far?
As you can hear from my accent, and I'm obviously from France, coming from a big family of business owners. I've been lecturing for the last 14 years, but always had different businesses on the side. So businesses from restaurants in Margaret River, resorts, training, organization consultants. Our latest venture was a high rope adventure park in Busselton that we just very happily sold recently. And now I'm concentrating solely on lecturing for the moment.
Excellent. So that's a vast range of different businesses, and well done on selling your last venture.
Thank you very much.
So Charlotte and I met in 2013 when I was one of her students. I was doing a Cert 4 in business management. The Cert 4 was really great because it explained and cemented all the practices that I was doing. So I had a good understanding of what I needed to do, but I didn't quite know why. And by completing the course, that gave me my why. So one of the things we thought that we would do today is about planning, because the course covered a lot of things on planning, from marketing right to financials. And as we're now in almost the end of the first quarter of 2019, Charlotte and I thought that planning would be a great topic for today. So Charlotte, why do you think that business goals are so important, and why is planning important to small business owners?
Well, it's an excellent question, Cathy, because I think it's not just important, I think it's essential. We need to learn and develop our skills in marketing, in operation, and so on, but we need first to have very strong goals and a very strong plan. Okay, the rest is a little bit like different tools, marketing tools, legal tools, and so on to get there. Without a plan, we can't get anywhere, and without clear goals, we can't get anywhere. Unfortunately, I think it's really something that we struggle quite a lot as business owners, because we don't have the time to sit down, to set goals and plan to get there. We're spending too much time, I think, in the technicality of a business without stepping out and looking at where we want to go and how we're going to get there. I always compare it with a car journey. If you think about it, it's quite easy for all of us to be able to say where we are now, okay? We know where we are in our business. We know where we are, if in a car journey. We know where we are geographically based. It's very important for our business, for our journey, to be able to know where we want to go. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm right now in Bustleton. I'm in a particular street and I'm at a particular address and I know the time. I really need to spend a little bit of time to know where I want to go and where's my goal. And if my goal is to be in 5 days, to be in number 3 in Flinders Street in Melbourne, which is setting very strong, defined, SMART goals, and I will go back again to those SMART goals. I need to really set up where I want to go for me to spend a little bit of time of planning my journey to get there. And that's a part of a business, basically. I need to be able to take my Google map. I need to be able to look at my budget. I need to be able to look at my car and say, okay, well, if I've got 5 days to be in Melbourne at this particular address, now I can see which road I'm going to take. I can see how much money I have to use on petrol and on food. Do I need to take sandwiches? Do I need to stop on where am I going to sleep, and so on? So I can plan, and I then have a good chance to get at my destination at the time that I want to get there in a safe manner. If I don't plan, I'm going to go in my car and I'm going to drive around Australia, and I'm going to stop the day that I don't have any more petrol in my car, reach my objective. And I think it's really something that I can see a lot in a lot of business owners, being extremely busy, working on their business constantly and working really, really hard, but never even wondering where do they want to go. We can all drive for hours and days and being busy, but we're never going to achieve our objective in the business. It's how I really look at business objectives, SMART goals, and business plan, and how we're going to plan to get to our objectives. As I was stating in my example, our goals need to be very clear. As you were saying, yes, it's the end of the first term very soon. Generally, the first term is quite busy. For businesses, it's quite busy in our own life, with school, with all those things happening at the same time. By that stage, we also realized that we didn't take time to have real good SMART goals, objectives for business for 2019. So it's never too late to do it. If you haven't done it for the moment in January or in December, it's really time. You really want to take a couple hours to go in a nice place and to take a couple of hours to say, what do you want to achieve for your business in 2019? I keep on referring to those SMART goals because any goals that we want to put in place needs to be SMART. So SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-framed. So we're nearly at the end of term one. If I say, well, my objective for 2019 is to make more money, okay? It's not going to help me very much because it's a very broad goal. To be able to really drive my business and achieve something, I need a goal that is specific. Not making more money? Is it more increasing my sales? Is it increasing my profits? Is it gaining new customers? It needs to be achievable, not too high, not too low. It needs to be relevant to my business, and it needs to be time framed. So if I decide that for this year, one of my objectives is to say, well, by the end of 2019, I want to have increased my sale by 5%, 10%, whatever is achievable. I then have a chance to put a plan together to get there. Again, it's a very precise goal. It's me saying I want to be number 4 Flinders Street in 5 days at that particular time. So we must have goals that are not wishy-washy. We must have goals that are very precise, that we believe in, that are feasible. It's setting up a pole that we're going to hit with our strategy.
And I think that's perfect, especially your analogy about the map and going to Flinders Street, because if you didn't have that direction, you could actually start heading to Perth, which would then take you 2 or 3 days in the wrong direction and you're never going to get back to Melbourne in time. So that's just an absolute perfect analogy.
And you're absolutely right, Cathy. You just, and we all see so many people in this case in business that are busy, that are spending a lot of resources, their own time, but also some dollar resources, some staff resources, going in a whole lot of different directions. And we can see there's a wrong directions, but they don't seem to see that because they didn't even spend a little bit of time thinking, where do they want to go? What do they want to achieve by the end of this year? I think it's really something that we heard that before. We can read about that in a lot of, different business advice and materials, but I think we all underestimate of how important it is. Having those clear set goals should drive everything that we're going to do. Goals. So again, 2-3 goals are a good idea because if we have more, if we have more than that, it's okay. But if you've got 10 goals, it's really hard. You're a little bit going in a whole lot of directions sometimes. Mm-hmm. So 2 to 3 goals is good. It's also very good when you set your goals, depends on the type of business that you're in. Maybe it's a good idea. Obviously, if you've got business partners, if you've got husband or wives, if you've got other people that are involved in your business, it's a good idea to bounce back by them. So sometimes involving other people and also making sure you share those goals with your staff is a good idea because, again, in a road trip, you want everybody in the car to know where we're going to go and what is going to happen, for them to have a point of view also about the direction. It depends on the circumstances, but it might be useful to have other people around you to give you feedback on those goals and to be able to set them up a little bit, to have some input in a setup of those goals. The rest is actually quite easy because when we've got those goals, it is a lot easier to plan. In my example, yes, I can take my map, I can decide where I'm going to stop and so on. But most importantly, what I do in a road trip is I'm looking at my watch, okay?
Perfect.
I'm looking at my petrol gauge and I'm looking at my money. I basically assess very quickly. I've got some quick tools for me that I can use to assess where I am at comparing to my plan. And then I can alter my plan if I need to go faster, if I have a bit more time and can have a longer break or anything like that. Again, it's something that we don't do much in business because we are way too busy running our business and thinking about we must have such a very strong marketing strategy and financial strategy and so on. Yes, we do. It's absolutely essential tools. All those strategies need to align with the direction that we want to go to.
Yes, absolutely.
So a good way to do it, that I find, again, is to take a little bit of time off the office, start to work on those 3 SMART goals, and then have some ways to have smaller goals for the next few months. So, for example, if one of my goals is to increase my sale by X amount of dollars by the end of 2019, I need to be able to know, okay, well, what do I think it's going to happen each month? Okay, what is my forecast for each month? How many kilometers do I need to do each day? And then at the end of each month, I need to spend a little bit of time to review where I'm at. Was I too optimistic in my goals and I need to slightly review it? Do I need to basically just change my direction a little bit because I'm going off track of where I want it to be? And that way, I'm just making sure that I never waste any energy. And I think it's really that we need to focus on in business. All our businesses are there to help us to reach our objective, but not to make us waste energy. And it might be physical energy. We all know that we work really, really hard in a business, but it's also a lot of resources. There's no point of wasting any money, to wasting any time, to waste any staff time, not being really sure where we want to go. Because we use a lot of common sense in our day-to-day life, and we forget to use common sense in a business. Another analogy that I use is about boat, basically. So you've got your SMART goals. You know what's going to happen. You know what you want to reach by the end of 2019. You've got smaller goals, maybe monthly goals that you can look regularly, assess between the budget and actual, between what you thought would happen and what is actually happening. All that is still really good, but you need to make sure that you communicate all that to your staff.
Yes.
Okay? Because having an amazing plan, having some really set and precise goals only works if everybody goes in the same direction. In a boat, again, the captain generally would plan very well his or her trip. They will know for how long they're going to go. They will know where they're going to stop and so on. But if he or she doesn't pass the information to the staff, how can the chef know how much food he needs to pack and when it's time to serve more or less food? How can the engineer department plan the repair of the boat if they don't know where they're going and for how long they're going? So again, it's another point, Cathy, that I find a lot of business owners do not want to share this information. Again, I'm saying that with limits, because there is some information that it might not be strategical to share everything, but it is so important for the staff to know exactly where we want to go, how we're going to get there, to make sure we use everybody to go in the same direction.
Absolutely.
If you really have those SMART goals, if you've got your monthly targets, it's not just in terms of sales, it's in, it might be a number of, for a new marketing strategy, number of hits on social media. It might be, just really depend on the type of business and where you want to bring this business. As soon as you've got that, you will gain an amazing amount of focus. You will be able to assess any opportunity that will present to you during the year against those another, which is generally what we do because it's a lot more exciting.
Shiny objects. We love shiny objects.
And it's so exciting. There is a new trend, there is a new tool, someone else is using it. I must use it in my business. I need to let go of everything else. Whereas if we still review all those different opportunities that come to us, but in the light of our SMART goals, in the light of our direction, saying, well, hang on a second, here is where I want to go for this year. we can then look at opportunities thinking, okay, are they going to make us closest to a goal or not? If they do, then it's definitely worth investigating further. If they do not add anything to a journey towards our goal, then straight away we need to just turn the page and go somewhere else.
Yes.
So those goals, they should be, I always say that to my students, saying, well, those goals, they should be on a piece of paper in a red marker on your fridge. And they should also be on your computer. And you should at least visually look at them once a day, because it's where you're going. So it's helping you to focus and to get there. You don't want to just take your car and drive around the desert for days and years. And there is a lot of people doing that in their business. Just busy, they don't know where they're going, and they're exhausted by the end of the trip. And
absolutely. And then 5 years later, they look back and go, how did I get to here? Because they haven't been checking their map along the way.
Exactly that. So it can be really easy if we have the discipline, because I think it has a lot to do with discipline to have those SMART goals. I don't think there is any other way to get all of us where we want to go if we don't have those SMART goals. The plan to get there, it is a lot easier. We can gather a lot of help. We need the help of experts. We need the help of, we can develop our skills to get there. But without those goals, we will never get anywhere. It's a very simple tool, but it's a tool that we always forget to use because we're more busy to do things instead of thinking and planning for things.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes people set the bigger goals, but then they forget to break them down. And then by the end of the year, they go, oh, well, I didn't get 5x on my income that I wanted to. When you go back and look at it, you go, well, you actually didn't plan quarterly or monthly targets of how you were going to do that or steps to get you there. So I think that's really sound advice.
Seems like it's a lot of time for people to do, but it's actually such a wise investment. If you're a little bit stuck also sometimes on what is achievable, what is realistic in terms of goals, I think something that is also underestimated is looking at benchmarking. Benchmarking is something that can help you a lot to set up your objectives and to also take the regular pulse of your business. To know that, yes, you are reaching your objective monthly, and to look at how other people behave in your industries. Benchmarking is a very good way. There is a tool that is available on the ATO that I find is very useful. So if you Google ATO benchmarking for small business, it is a broad tool, but it's basically developed by the ATO with all the financial information that they've got for all the businesses in Australia. Okay, so it's not just a made-up, statistic. It's from a real industry. I find it's an excellent tool because you can look at a whole lot of different industries. So you might have hospitalities, for cafe less than 4 staff, or hairdressing with employees of more than 20 employees. So there is a whole lot of industries, different categories. The ATO is making average ratio, saying, well, in average in Australia for this business, they will pay that much rent against turnover, or they will do that much sales against their turnover. So you can yourself benchmark, look at how you compare to the industry, and that can help you to improve your goal, to set up your goals and develop your strategy. So I find, looking at benchmarking, it's also a very good help to set up goals in a business.
That sounds good. And having a tool like that will be excellent. So I'll find that and put it in the show notes as a link for everybody. So that'll be great.
Beautiful. The rest is, I'm not going to say the rest is easy at all. The rest it's very hard work. As the old business, the rest is really looking at the map and thinking which road are we going to take? Which one is the fastest? Which one is going to suit our vehicle? Which one is going to suit this and that? I guess all those activities are a lot more, they're precise tools. I call them the tools to go somewhere. So we still need to develop skills and knowledge in all those tools. Again, we need to focus on where we want to go.
That sounds really good. And then that way, even though it takes a little bit of time in the beginning, it will save you time over the year because you have that plan. You know not to grab all those shiny objects, and you can really hone in. Like you say, if you get your staff to come along too on the big picture, then they can have a buy-in as well.
I think it's really the biggest frustration for most of us if we think about what happened to us when we were employees. And when we were, when you're employed by someone, by an organization, by a business, by a person, and you have the feeling that they just keep on jumping from one thing to another, that you're not really sure where they're going. So your life is mainly just following their order because you can't do anything by yourself because you don't know what they want. And if you put yourself on the other side, no, you are the employer. You are spending a lot of resources, a lot of time, a lot of energy, and you really need your team to support you, to work with you in the reaching of those objectives instead of just plodding along just because they don't know where you're going and where they're going.
Absolutely. So one of the biggest mistakes you would see small business people making is not planning and not including their staff in that so that they don't know where the boat's heading.
Exactly. I mean, there is some other mistake, definitely, but those two mistakes are, in my point of view, the biggest one, because we live in a world also where everybody's really tired, where we've got a lot of the small businesses are require more and more time from our behalf. And people just make mistake because they're not concentrating. And I think that comes from a matter of concentration, which is we concentrate where we want to go and we go there as quickly, as efficiently as possible instead of just looking around. So, yes, Cathy, I think it's really one of the biggest cause of not just of collapse of businesses and mistakes of businesses, it's also on a personal point of view where a lot of people can be overwhelmed and exhausted. Their business is more a burden than anything. And I think it's to have a business that is shining for yourself and help you to reach what you want to reach, then in that case, the journey is absolutely fantastic.
Absolutely. And on that note, that's a great place to stop because we could talk about goals and goal setting forever. But we have also what I call the final 5, which is 5 quick questions I ask all my guests to answer. Are you game for those?
I am game.
Okay, so these are quick questions, so they don't have to be one-word answers, but just fairly short. So the first one is the best advice ever given to you by a mentor.
I think it was definitely my father. It was an advice that he passed away when I was 18, so I was still quite young. And we were talking a lot about business. He always told me that a business needs to be, you need to have your own definition of success in your business. And I think it's that don't run your business thinking you have to follow what other people want to do. Your vision of your business might be slightly different from everybody else. Well, it doesn't matter. It's your tool. So just don't be scared and just follow your own business dream, I guess.
That's great advice. Love that. What was the biggest help you've ever received in your business journey?
Definitely, without a doubt, it's my husband. We've been very lucky to run all of our business together. So the biggest help wasn't technical. I think the biggest help is, on the emotional point of view, we know how hard it is to carry this business, and sometimes there is days that you feel you won't make it. Now, having, in my case, someone by my side that could pick me up when I needed to be picked up, that could tell me just, you're not needed anymore. You need to walk away for a day and go to the beach and then look after you. I think it's really the biggest help that I received in business, definitely.
Excellent. What is the one thing that you have to do every day, your non-negotiable?
Cuddling my boys. I mean, cuddling my boys. Because, again, it's a balance. And to me, I need this emotional thing to be able to keep on going with business. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they grow up and leave you. I've just had one leave me, but he keeps coming back. So that is great.
Cuddle, yeah.
And now he's much more cuddly than he was when he was at home all the time. So that's even better. What is your favourite business book and why?
I'm going to say a book that is actually not completely business. I'm just currently reading Sapiens. I'm not sure if you heard about Sapiens. I really recommend to anyone to read this book. It's really a book about humankind, I would say. How, humankind and how Homo sapiens are affecting us today. And to me, this knowledge, I can take it in a business point of view. Quite a lot of the messages there to say how people behaved in terms of community hundreds of thousand years ago, that explain a lot of how we behave in a business today. Your business book, I still would recommend this one, definitely.
Okay.
It's a friendly book. It's not too serious.
Oh, good. That sounds very interesting. I'll have to look that one up. The last of our final 5 is, what do you wish you had known when you started?
It's to be kind on myself. I was not kind to myself. So I think it's this notion of saying, no, I don't need to do everything straight away. I don't need to succeed in my definition of success that quickly. I don't need to do all those kind of things. That probably would have done me very good to have heard that from myself before I've done any business. Unfortunately, I had to learn the hard way, as we all do quite often. Instead of, racing with my car, I'm very happy to plot along. That still could have get there by plotting along.
And you mightn't be quite so exhausted and hot and sweaty if you've had the aircon on and the windows down, perhaps.
Exactly. It's reaching your objective is really good. I'm very happy. Done that in each of my business. But yes, I could have slowed down a little bit.
We do like to fit everything in, don't we? Thank you so much, Charlotte. Appreciate your time and your wisdom. If people want to get in contact with you, what's your best contact?
Yeah, LinkedIn is the best. Otherwise, my email address, charlotte.brown, BROWN, at tafe.wa.edu.au.
Perfect.
Contact me for anything that you need. Thank you so much for your time, Cathy. It was lovely to talk to you.
Don't forget to subscribe to Small Business Talk podcast and head on over to smallbusinesstalk.com.au/downloads for all the show notes and links to this episode. Remember, to be great, you must start. Pick one tip from today's episode, take action and implement it. Let's meet again next week at the same time and place. Until then, take action. And SBT community, enjoy your journey.